Hello guys, this is Negacious, and welcome to probably the very last video I'll ever make on Katawa Shoujo. This video, there will be no gameplay on it, just me rambling on about the routes and about everything else that that kind of comes to mind about the game, really. Its good sides, bad sides. I'll try to be as honest as possible with the game. So if someone asks, hey, should I play Katawa Shoujo? I mean, of course you should say yes. This was a brilliant game. But if this video would help them to kind of grasp on what would going on and they don't mind spoilers, then feel free to link this video to them. So, there will be timestamps down below in the description to when I change the subject or change to another route. I'll try going through it in a sensible order, like route after route, and then there will be like miscellaneous stuff at the end. So let's get going. I mean, there will be no cuts pretty much. I just want to like talk in peace with my cup of coffee here. And you guys, naturally. About this brilliant game. So, I first started off with Katawa Shoujo due to my friend's recommendation. Mr. S, you know who you are. And I was like, because I hadn't really played visual novels like all that much. I've played like bits and pieces here and there, and I've even played a little bit of Umineko no Nakukoro ni. After I saw like the first episode, like the first 10 minutes of it, and I knew that it was from the same company that made Higurashi. I just had to try it, and I will probably play even Umineko like on this channel at some point. But regardless of that, I hadn't played all the many visual novels, and I hadn't passed any of them. And then my friends like, "There's a free visual novel going about. Would you like to like play it?" I'm like, "Hell yeah! If it has a good story, I'm always up for a good story." And this screen, well, without the little pictures on the right, greeted me, and I'm like, "Whoa! This is the music and everything." Like, and then I just clicked start, and I went to the first screen of the game, and that's where it really began. I mean, total playtime was like I don't even remember what's the total playtime of this game. It's a long time, and all of it has been golden. So, to start off, I started with Emi's route. So let's talk about Emi a little bit. Emi Ibarazaki. Who was she? She was a apparently cheery, really like a bubbly girl who had energy to just keep going, keep running, and a really sporty girl whose disability was that she had no legs, which is kind of ironic. I mean, when I first like started playing the game and kind of met all the girls, and I kind of went along like what was sensible for me to do, since we had arrhythmia. The nurse said we should move, and we ended up on Emi's route. I didn't really know exactly like how to get on routes at that point, so I was just like, "Whoa, so much like stuff is happening." But then Scar linked me the flowchart. Thanks for that. That helped me on my times of need. And yeah, I mean, we ended up on Emi's route, and everything started off nice and dandy. Also, I think Emi's route only had 3 acts, so that's also weird, because all the other routes had 4. I'm guessing because I haven't played it through Emi's bad end yet. I will at some point, probably like off camera. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? Emi Ibarazaki. She, I mean, when we first started off on Emi's route, she was really, she was a fun character to like kind of get into and kind of listen to what she had to say. She was all bubbly, and like the route really advanced in a really upbeat manner, like more than others. With Emi, in my opinion, it advanced in a more upbeat way, and like all the trouble, and you could really like sense her determination, kind of in what she loves. She loves running, which the reason later on was revealed to be that her father had passed away, and the fact that Emi kinda ran because because it kinda made all her bad memories go away, including the loss of her father. So I would definitely say that upbeatness and the kinda routines that Emi pushed you into, it really drew you in, and it gave you the sense of her really wanting to support you. But when we kind of had to support Emi, like she was a bit of a drama queen. Like, I mean, it was gathered up well at the end, but she was a little bit of a drama queen. Not so much as like, well, I mean, it is a tragic loss to like lose a family member, but I feel that the writers kind of pushed it a little bit too much, because like it became really obvious at a fairly early stage on what had happened, and they kind of tried to keep it a secret, and that kind of took away the impact of the reveal when we went to the graveyard. And before that, it kind of really took away some of the ambience and the feeling of Emi's route. There were a lot of like good plot points though in Emi's route though. Well, if we exclude that one scene in the equipment shed, which was kinda questionable whether that was related to the route or not. I'm of course talking about the anal sex scene in the shed. Other than that, Emi's route, his house arrhythmia was brought into it, but not all that much. I would imagine that his house arrhythmia would be pushed a bit more, considering that it is a route which includes a very sporty girl, and who makes you move a lot. Like, I would assume that the risks of you having a heart attack would be way higher than, let's compare it to Lilly's route, where your arrhythmia was really pushed. Like, it was almost milked. That, hey, I have arrhythmia and that's holding me back from being together with this girl, pretty much. Ultimately. But Emi's route side characters, like Meiko, Rin, and like, yeah, Meiko and Rin, I think those are the only two side characters we really get to meet in Emi's route. Meiko, who being Emi's mother, I really didn't find her all that impactful. She just was there, giving you some like some information from the sidelines, kind of just telling like hints and tips, like tips and droplets of like information. Like, hey, you know, Emi had a really, she had a really tragic thing happen to her. Nod, nod, nudge, nudge. You know, she was just kind of there. And even when we went to visit Emi's home, like with Emi, where she eventually kicked us out from, Meiko, I can't remember the exact dialogue, but I don't remember her having that much of an impact either. She was done well as a mother character, though. She supported Emi and like her decisions to, like, kind of like take us to the graveyard with her, and really, finally, let us know that her father is in eternal rest in that graveyard. And that scene was written well because you don't imagine a girl like Emi just pouring her emotions out like she did at the end. and at the track just before the the sequence where we went to the graveyard. Because she had been all bubbly throughout the route and really just she had really just like been happy and cheerful, except for one moment when she was in the wheelchair, and that's when she supported herself onto us, and eventually it led her to like us as more than a friend. But I mean, I guess those are my thoughts on Emi's route. It was decent. It wasn't the best route there was in the game, at least on my personal opinion. It was a good starting point though, because as I said at the end of the finale, the last episode, when I finished Emi's route, I could have stopped the game right there, never played it again, never picked it up again, and I would have been completely satisfied with the experience. Because Emi was really... She was a... She made for a good route, but it was only good. It didn't have that special nudge to take it to the next level. And partially I blame that on the excessive drama regarding only one plot point, and also Meiko, because I feel like her character could have and should have had more of an impact on the route. Moving on. Oh Hanako, oh Hanako, oh Hanako, oh Hanako. Hanako Ikezawa. Now, this route kind of brought me down at the very beginning when I was looking at the videos, were really like fucked throughout the entire length of Hanako's route, and I might even re-record them at some point, not like immediately after I've finished the game though, because I need to kinda just lay it down for a while and enjoy the good memories, which this route, oh boy. It was a goddamn feels trip. Alright? And I would say that Hanako's route, and if I were to compete it against Lilly's route, of course Lilly's route is fresher on my mind, but I would say that in hindsight, Hanako's route was the best one for me, Lilly's route being close second. Both of them were excellent storytelling. Both of them included excellent storytelling. Both of them included strong main and side characters. Both of them had lots of emotion in it, but Hanako had that one special nudge to her route. First off, look at her. She has burn scars, and you knew immediately what was wrong with her. She's been in a fire. But the way, because Hanako was she was built as a really shy, really indrawn, a really drawn in person who was really shy. She couldn't express herself to others because she was so scarred and like a void of social skills. That it made you feel bad because you wanted to reach out to Hanako. You wanted to reach her so badly during the route. You just wanted to go through the screen and be like, Hanako, I'm here, talk to me, I want to be with you. And that's the feeling I got throughout the route, and it tells something about how well a character is done when you get that kind of sense of attachment to a character. Hanako's route had many good points, and before I go to the end, talk about the ending, I want to talk about a few points within her route. Firstly, the route it advanced fairly slowly, which is understandable considering her nature. But they brought it out in a way that it wasn't annoying. It didn't get annoying at any one point. Hanako's nature and her really stern quietness and shyness, they were what drew the player in. You wanted to know more about the character, and that's why you felt so devoted to like cracking through that outer shell and kind of just, opening up to her and making her open up to you. And that's why I also want to mention Hanako's bad ending. Because I remember it was episode 40 something when Scar gave me a subtle hint, which I did realize, but I didn't realize the meaning of. Or I understood like what he was trying to say, that Hanako might have something more to her at that point of the route, but I fell for the goddamn trap regardless. The bad ending really solidified like that she isn't weak, and that she does find it somewhat troublesome to be doted by Lilly, for an example. Although Lilly and Hanako are still good friends. But the fact that she snapped at you and kind of just cut ties with you, meanwhile Lilly was in Scotland, Inverness, that was a really strong, a really affecting bad end. Because you realize that, why am I doting on her this much? She's fared so far, and it's enough for me to simply be there. For now. And when you start like unlocking the final locks to the route, when you call her to meet you at the park at the very end, and she comes and she kind of just opens up to you, and where is it? Where's that one CG I'm looking for? Yeah, this scene, like, this was one of the two scenes where I almost, well, I suppose three, the last one being on Lily's route. This was the first scene in the game where I very nearly cried. I got misty-eyed at least. Because you realize that you had been wrong about Hanako's nature all this time and that you had helped her. They built the ambience in this route so well that I couldn't even describe it. Like, after I had finished it, I couldn't describe how well this particular scene in Hanako's route was done. Because it didn't only convey Hanako's emotions through the screen, it conveyed the player's emotions through Hisao. And you could really like relate to them, because you had been like the issues they brought up here or resolved, I suppose, in this scene. It was really, you had pondered them like throughout her route. You had like wondered like, hey, why is this a thing? Why is this happening? Like, yeah, sure, she was in a fire, but why is she still not like ready to open up to me? And when you do push through and get the risk of getting the bad or good end, that's really something that makes you think when you reach the good ending at this point of it. It makes you think that, it makes you think a lot about, like, back at the route, like multiple things that you had done. Also, Hanako's route, I mean, she likes games, she likes like chess and like billiards, and in the end she ended up in journalism or editing as well, which is she's a very down to earth kind of like casual person to hang out with, and likable as well. Like later on in the route when she started opening up to you, and that was also really, really sweet. Like it was. I don't know, like, even how to describe it well enough. As for side characters in the route, Akira, Lilly, and even Miki, all of them fulfilled their roles. All of them fulfilled their roles well. I wish I could come up with a better word, but well is, well, enough. Because Lilly, I don't feel that the kind of friction worked as well with Hanako being the main girl of the route and Lilly being the side character as it was vice versa in Lily's route, because they really brought out Hanako's traits of like her moving forward better out in Lily's route. But in Hanako's route, they kind of kept Lilly and Akira really like they kept them in distance, but close enough to still be able to like come through and communicate and kind of like talk stuff here and there. I think that the phone call to Lilly when Hanako withdrew into her room was a really well done scene as well. It was done really well. And the dilemma they posed to you there, whether we should follow our own ideals of Hanako, and we should just reach out to Hanako while she's moping in her room, or just wait it out, was well done. Because again, the storytelling was so well done that it had you at a conflict. It had you at a really deep conflict of like ideals. Should I want to help this girl? Should I go? Or her closest friend is telling me not to because this has happened again. Should I not? Those kind of problems are what kind of drew me in and got me really devoted into finishing the route in Hanako's route, and also it had some good scenes. The like this bar scene being one of them when we would just play billiards. It was really really well done. Bad things about Hanako's route? There are some small things. I don't know about like you guys, but I kind of felt that like her emotional like flow on how it was built, it was really inconsistent, or it was forced to be really inconsistent at times when it really wouldn't like have to be. It like I understand that her disability has taken her self-esteem really low, and it was portrayed well, but it was still just that one single notch a bit too, I don't know how to say, like it was really like sporadic at times when it really shouldn't have been. But otherwise her route was close to perfection for me. It also was the second route I played, which really kind of pushed through the good feeling of the route. Regardless, all in all, Hanako's route was probably the best for me, since it got me so devoted, and the only route which got me close, but not as close to the feeling of attachment, was Lilly's. Lilly's was just really, really close to the level of emotionalism as Hanako's route was. But we'll talk about that later. Next up was the third route I played in the game. So, about Mishune's route. Of course, the third route, which was kind of the most, it was kind of driven for me to play this route earlier than the last, because I heard a lot of shit about Shizune's route beforehand. No spoilers, but I heard like that it was shit. And I want to know why. And well, when we start thinking about the... Come on, Hanako. I know you're adorable as hell, but get off my screen for a while, please. Thank you. Of course, Shizune's route, it had its own nice quirks to it. And, I mean, this trio, they pulled off a lot. And it also covered the largest time span of any of the routes in the game, because it covered an entire year. It covered all the way from the start of the third year when we were hospitalized to the time when we graduated, the graduation day. What can I say about this route? It was the only route where we actually had a kind of a love triangle, except that Misha loved Shizune and Shizune loved me, and vice versa. That made the route really interesting in its own accord, because you had to balance out your own morals and ideals, especially in that one goddamn choice where Misha comes into your room and is like, please comfort me, Hichan. Please comfort me, Hichan. I'm sad. and I made a misstep there to accept her invitation. Another way on how the route was made very interesting was that it kinda the cutscene just as episode or Act 2 began. There was the cutscene where Misha was kind of looking at me and Shizune through the doors on the roof. And that kind of gave the player the misconception, at least it gave it for me, that Misha would have a crush on me. Like Hisao Nakai. And I thought that would be a love triangle, but when it turned out the way it did, it really gave the route that extra punch. Of course, there are flaws in the route, and that's why I think that this route wasn't nearly as impactful as Hanako or Lilly. I'd say it's about around the same level as Emi's. But I still liked Shizune's route more. I liked Misha. She's one of the top characters if we exclude like the primary characters, the 5 main girls and Hisao. Misha was probably up there with Akira. Because Misha was so goofy and like she supported us. She wanted us to succeed, but she was going through so much watching Shizune from afar and knowing that it'll be hard to get Shizune to love Misha or herself. And that was something that really kind of got me attached personally. Like Shizune was awesome, yeah, and I'm glad that Shizune was the main girl of the route. But Misha made the route into what it was. Misha made the route. Misha gave the drama aspect to the route. Misha was that goofy, funny side character, and not only on this particular route, but also on other ones. For example, in Emi's route, there's a choice at the almost near the end of Emi's route where Hisao is pondering, like, what should I do when Misha asks that if Hisao is having love troubles. And like she consults him in many other situations, and it's kind of that cheering, like pink-headed girl who is always supporting everyone. And Misha's like way on how she views the world is also really interesting once you get to know her in Shizune's route. Shizune, I mean, of course, the sign language was something that I was really intrigued by, and Shizune was that really typical student council president, a hard worker, but also really like not stiffy, but really like she was a fun character to know. But the romance aspect of Shizune's route wasn't up there with Hanako or Lilly. Also, this was the only route with, of course, well, 2 girls kinda balancing in between you. And that also brought you that kinda different approach to the route, and I think that's also what freshened it up for me. I had already played through 2 routes at this point, and I was maybe expecting a bit too much from this route after I had just played Hanako's, but I was still glad that it was what it was. If they tried to push the romance a bit further, I don't think the drama aspect would have stayed the same, especially on Misha's from Misha's situation and what she went through. As I said in episode 60, I think it's called Enduring in Suffering, I think, where Misha kind of tells us that she loves Shizune and even confessed to her, which is something that really kind of pulled my heartstrings a little, because the subject that you can read behind the lines from that confession, it's deep, and it's a very serious issue that Katawa Shoujo tackled pretty much head on. And the writers get full props from me for that they pulled in a lesbian character into the game, which it was a pleasure to like go through and hear both of their thoughts on the matter. Anyways, the route was it was good. It was about the same as Emi's. Maybe I was a bit more attached to this route, especially because of Misha, not because of Shizune. But Emi's route had that a lot more like final feeling to it. But here the ending was just graduation. They graduated, and the picture with all three of them just raising their hands up in the air here. And all of them will return as teachers to Yamako, most likely. Which was a fitting conclusion to the route. At this point I had done 3 routes and I had enjoyed all of them. Hanako the most, of course. And the remaining 2 routes, one of them was really mysterious to me and kind of something that I wasn't expecting too much out of. But I was wrong. Of course, the 4th route that I played, and the route that I actually didn't give like half a damn before I actually started it, and this route was probably the one that I had the least expectations for. Like, in terms of just purely the route, was this girl. Of course, Rin. And if I were to like go through like everything that happened during her route, I'd be sitting here like 16 hours later, pretty much. She had so much like in her route, like holy hell. And to be honest, her character intrigued me the most. Like pure intrigue, like through like pure interest. Because I mean, it's Rin. The first time you meet her, she's just... You get that immediate, like, really vague, weird feeling about her. Like, I got like, who the hell is this? That was my first reaction to, like, when Rin started actually babbling. And, like, some of my viewers actually said that Rin was, like, their personal favorite of a route. And I can stand behind that. That now that I've had time to gather my thoughts about her route, because when I finished it, it was just like, what the hell happened? With the route ending at the cliff, or like the plain on top of the little mountain with dandelions flying about. But I mean, overall, Rin's route was pretty simple. She loved art, and she knew she wanted to express herself through art, but no one would understand because Rin didn't know how to express things. Basically, she didn't have an illness for it, I think, but she did have like some like difficulties in like making interpretable works out from her mouth and through her brushes as well. So that was really interesting because the ramblings that Rin just like went through, I must say I did get tired of them. And that's also a minus point in Rin's route for me, because sometimes she would just go on for like 5 minutes, just straight up dialogue, and I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? And in the end, it wasn't explained at all. I get that it was a part of the route, yeah, but still, that didn't like strike me as like a selling point for the route, if you will. It was more like, okay, this is part of her character, it belongs to the plot, it's more nonsensical, like, banter. And that really kind of killed some of the like feeling of the route for me. And but then again, those ramblings really built up the plot. It's a plus point and a minus point at the same time, basically, because when Rin gets yelled at by Nomiya in the art room, and we go there and we're like, we just because we didn't need words at that point, because like that's the point. It was more Rin's route was told more by gestures, like visual context more than anything. When Rin starts crying against us in the atelier and just that shit was like God. It was that long episode, like 2 hours and 25 minutes or something that I did towards the end of that when that happened, and even if I had been recording that long, I couldn't like fully gather the emotion of the situation, and I'm sorry about that. But now that I actually read it again, and it was really, I mean, Hisao took the lead in Lilly's not Lilly's route, Rin's route, because Rin was she was a goofball, and Hisao kind of had to take the initiative in order to really reach Rin. And also this is like the only route in the game where where there's a scripted event where Hisao actually straight up yells angrily at Rin. And that part really helped me gather kind of my own frustration as well. It helped me vent the frustration that I had to go through, like by her ramblings, and just gonna listen to those over and over and over again. But in the end, those ramblings paid off because it did for a very good ending. Again, not as good as Hanako, so it was good in a way that everything felt that it was resolved. It felt that we had actually that Rin had actually found salvation from the hell that she'd been like living in her own little bubble. And as for like side characters, Nomiya, I liked Nomiya's character, although he turned out to be, I don't know if he was a douche, but his patience ran out basically, and he ultimately just yelled at Rin and called Rin a hopeless wannabe artist. Sae, she was decent, but I felt that she had the same problem as Meiko did, Emi's mother. I felt that those two had the same problem of just being there. They didn't really do anything, except Sae just like kind of being Nomiya's like limiter on what can he say and what he can't say, and kind of just managing the whole art gallery thing, giving Rin the atelier, sure, those kind of things. But I mean, I felt like there could just be a person X doing all of that. Like without any like actual personality. We didn't really get to know Sae that well, or at least I don't remember anything distinctive about her. I do remember that she gave Rin a cigarette though, or a pack of cigarettes. What else? Oh yeah, Emi in Rin's route as well. Emi was kinda meh in this route. Her like personality didn't come out as cheerful as it did in her own route naturally, but it was still good. It was still like bearable, and it was still something that kind of brought the more of the drama of the route into light, because Emi didn't really get like Rin's rambling, and since we were so knee deep in the situation with Rin, the kind of cluelessness and obliviousness of Emi bought into that a lot, or it brought like a lot of stuff into our own feelings towards the situation. All in all, Rin's route got me invested quite heavily, although the ramblings kind of killed pretty much a lot of the mood from the route as well, but it was rewarded back slightly by the ending. All in all, I'd say it's somewhere in between Shizune's and Emi's routes, and or it's somewhere below Hanako but above Shizune and Emi, somewhere there. And Rin turned out to be extremely adorable. Probably one of the more likable characters in the end, even though she did ramble a lot. But as I said, it was told a lot through emotion and like visual context, which really applied Rin's personality a lot more. And I guess it's true and fitting to say that a picture tells more than 1,000 words. And Rin's like character sprites and that kind of technical stuff was really well thought out. And also the writing worked into that really well. So that's what I would like use as a selling point if I were to introduce this route to someone. Of course, after I had finished Rin's route, there was only one last route remaining, and I had heard so many good goddamn things about this route beforehand that I don't even. I don't. Like I don't. And that was of course Lilly. Oh boy. This. What can I even say about Lilly's route? I mean, I can say lots of things, and I wouldn't say that any of them are negative. Because Lilly, I mean, I tried to go in as unbiased as possible. I didn't try to like have the public opinion affect me because I didn't want to like overshoot my expectations. So I went in blind. I went in like as casually as possible. And Lilly, man, she just captured like. She captured my attention the moment like I started to play her route like a little longer. And again, I will stand by my words and Scar's words. This was the ideal love story. This could be made into a movie easily. Because it was just so good. It was so damn good. It's the same as Hanako's. Both of those routes have the same potential to be made into a movie. Both of them were so goddamn good. And what made Lilly's route so good for me? The drama. Just the drama. I mean, there were so many sweet moments between Lilly and Hisao. It was clear. Like the love aspect was there from the beginning. It was made clear. It was made clear that this is the love story, and I mean Hisao took the lead in this route as well. I mean, there are so many, there are so many shenanigans and sweet moments in Lilly's route that I can't even like remember them all. There were so many of them, like Jesus. I mean, what can I say about it? Also, the way on how they built Lilly's character is probably the best. I mean, it's close if not above Rin. I mean, Hanako's character was good as well. But I mean, in that the drama and kind of the build-up of the whole route was good. It's the same with Lilly, but with Lilly and Hisao, it was an open love story. It was a really clear premise for everyone, and it had like two parts of the drama to it. The first happened at the Sato summer house after like so many shenanigans of like signs of affection, and with that scene in the wheat field. Let me see if I can find that scene. I believe it's here. Yes, it is. This scene, like when I saw this scene and Lilly broke down, saying that she doesn't want to lose us too, and at that point they had come from Scotland, Inverness for the first time, and like something shady was going on between Akira and Lilly. They knew something that we didn't, and I called it. I don't remember when, but I think I called it that the rest of the drama has something to do with Scotland or their family, and that it did. And what a way to end it. I mean, Lilly's breakdown and saying that she doesn't want to lose us was it was well done, but it didn't give. I don't want to lie, so I kind of had to rethink my thoughts. The way they really brought out the confession of Lilly, like that Lilly doesn't want to lose us. It was good, but I mean there's always room for improvement. That room of improvement that I'm talking about, I mean it doesn't like directly relate to this particular scene. And also look at this shit. I mean, I still think that this is the prettiest CGI in the entire game. I have to give it that much. It's beautiful. And the game even reference itself like to that particular scene. But the thing that could have used improvement was like also there was the Red Velvet scene with like Lilly being there and kind of talking about everything to us. Wow, a glass of Chardonnay. I mean, if there's anything that this route could have improved on, it's just minor things. It's similar things to Hanako's. It's basically like, I mean, there was at one point I did felt there was like repetition in the route, but it was very, very like faint. There were scenes like which like repeated themselves a little bit, like the tea room scenes, or like I don't know, the overall shenanigans of Lilly and Hisao, like the kissing scenes. Like this scene was used a lot, and I understand why. It was used as a pretext for like the affection that the two held between each other, and I completely understand it. And I think that's like all the negatives that I can think about it, because let's talk about the ending. With Hisao running to going to the airport, seeing this scene, seeing Lilly and Akira's back, and then going like blank, and waking up in the hospital near the airport, thinking Lilly's gone. It was the first time the game had me completely fooled, 100% fooled. I thought absolutely that Lily's gone. I thought Lily's not gonna be back, and and it's gonna be like a really melancholic end, even though it was a good end. And it was like absolutely one of the top 3 moments of the game, when the music box music started playing, and we see the music box just going off in like next to the table. We turn to the door and realize at the same time in our head that this music box is the one I gave to Lilly. Why is it here? And then she enters the room. I was so I was overjoyed at that point. Like, you could even hear it in my voice very clearly that I was overjoyed that Lilly was back, and I was like full of questions, like why? Because I had gone through it's a neutral end, not a bad end. I had gone through the neutral ending of Lilly like earlier, so I was afraid that it's just a memento that someone had brought in or something, but no, Lilly was there. And it was also the only ending in the game, like out of the 5 routes, it was also the only good ending in which they didn't have sex. But they did have it like multiple times earlier during the route, so I guess that compensates for it. And I rather like that ending. I like the fact that like it just ended to the promise that they were going to go to the Tanabata together, and like, oh my god. Still, it wasn't as emotional as Hanako's, which is why I also think that Hanako's route is the best in the game, because Hanako's route got me so damn invested into the character and the route and like the happenings, and like I wanted for the route to succeed. I didn't want to fuck up. And Lilly's route had me on the same tracks, but the emotional load that the route held wasn't so much dramatic, it was more romantic. The ending scene at the hospital was something that did get me quite sentimental, but it wasn't up there with Hanako's. Also, that little ending scene after the credits in Lilly's route, that was a really neat ad. And the way they revealed that Akira's going to bring his boyfriend over to Inverness. And also, let's talk about Akira for a second before I move on to the next subject. Akira motherfucking Sato. What a badass you are. Akira was not by far, but she was 100% my favorite side character from the game. Yuko, I did warm up to Yuko as well, but not as much. But Akira, man, Akira loves Lilly more than anything. Well, maybe her boyfriend, but like Akira loves Lilly. Akira cherishes Lilly and wants to take good care of her. And considering the context of the two's like reason for being in Japan, because Lily's family obviously want to keep up appearances. Because they had a blind child, they left Lilly into Japan. And Akira was like, nope, you're not going to leave her alone. I'm staying with her. Akira worked like long shifts, she took care of Lilly, and like even said that expecting a 19-year-old to be a mother for a blind child is ridiculous. And Akira, she saved Lilly from that could have been a gruesome fate, to be honest. And Akira was just so supportive, she was funny, she had just the right amount of sass, she looked awesome, and like, she has unconditional love towards her younger sister. And that's what really gained points from me towards Akira. Because the scene they dedicated to Akira telling the background of like Lilly and herself and what she's gone through, the shit that she's gone through, that was also a really sentimental moment to like listen to, because I wanted to know more about Akira simply. I wanted to know more about how her character is and like what she does. And she does lawyering, but Jesus Christ, Akira was like. Akira and Yuko are probably the best side characters in the game. Like, Yuko is very neutral, but she also warmed up to me in the end. I was going to say Kenji is also better than Yuko, but I think I prefer Yuko over Kenji, to be honest. Kenji was a legend too. He had his own funny moments. But yeah, if I absolutely had to rate like all 5 routes, I'd probably go Hanako's as the topmost one, Lilly coming very close behind. After that, I'd probably call that the Rin's route was the 3rd best, and a shared 4th place would be Emi and Mishune. Well, Shizune, but Mishune fits better, to be honest. Next, I kind of want to talk about like the overall game. Well, first of all, I want to cover the graphics. The graphics were not gorgeous, but they were well done. Like the sprites were really well thought out, and the CGIs were they really immersed you in the situation that they were in, and they were done. There were some which could have used improvement, and some that weren't as impactful as others. But it doesn't really matter, because the stories were so good overall that the CGI really contributed to like some of the scenes that we kind of read through. If I had to like mention some that really contributed into the scenes that they were in, well, obviously this one, the one with Akira sitting in the bench with a Sapporo beer in her hand, and the scene that followed, it really, even though this picture showed up for like, I don't know, like 5 lines of dialogue or something, it still brought the right amount of ambience to the situation, so you could visualize it in your head with Akira being really angry towards her own family, and like the way on how she's kind of forced to take care of Lilly. That was obviously one of the top ones from the route. or from the scenes overall, then pretty much like Emmy had several like really speak easy type of CGIs, like lots of running related stuff, and like a lot, and the scenes that weren't related to running, I'd probably say that the most the one CGI that actually I remember from, well, two that I remember from her route. The first one being this, with Hisao kind of catching up with Emmy in the track and kind of saying that I'm here to help you since you helped me. And I don't remember which episode is this. I think this is like episode. I don't remember. But this was. And I mean, with Emmy, like as I was talking earlier, or at the beginning of the video, about like how Emmy was the cheerful lass that she was. Seeing this based on Emmy really gives you a new, distinct like perspective into her kind of character, and like she feels other emotions than happiness as well, and kind of knows how to show them if they're being dragged out. Of course, the other CGI that I remember is this at the very end of her route, when we visit her father's gravestone, or her father's grave rather, and Emmy kind of like rambling on how she fell for us. That was really impressive for me as well. It wasn't as good as like some of the other scenes done in the game, but it's definitely on like the second tier well done scenes of the game. I don't know what else. Well, I mean, lots of CGIs from Hanako. I mean, even just from this page alone, I could name like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 CGIs at least that I remember. Like first of all, the beanbag scene from the library, with Hanako being all like all shy, and you kind of want to know more about her. Then the birthday party and also this birthday party picture was like, you're lying if you weren't like smiling throughout this whole segment. Like I was smiling throughout the entire goddamn segment of like when this CGI was on, and even beyond that. I was smiling the whole time, because like she's so freaking happy when she gets to be around with me and Akira and Lilly, and she gets presents and everyone's like supportive of her. It was just it was well done, and it also fit the mood very, very well. It was just good. Then also Hanako's breakdown. I remember I was actually recording this on Christmas Eve. Let's just say that comparing to the date, this wasn't a very. This was also one of the scenes where I actually yelled, like on my personal accord, at the game, because I felt so invested in the writing. With Hanako being like shutting herself down completely and just breaking down. Do I even need to say anything about this picture? Red Velvet playing. We're playing billiards in. She's so happy. We're playing just billiards in the jazz bar with Akira and Lilly just talking, having a sisterly drink. Of course, her bad end, and my heart still breaks when I see this CGI. With Hanako going like, "Leave me alone, leave me alone." It was really impactful. One of the most impactful moments of the game. And then just Hanako going back into her shell because she didn't want to be doted. Of course, the scenes, the NSFW scenes, this scene with Hanako talking about her scarring, like her history, with her theme, Painful History, playing in the background. So many good moments. of course, some of the moments from Lily's and like Hanako's combined moments were also cute. This one where they were hugging. What else? From Lily's like CGIs, like the ending CGI was really good. This was really good. It gave the sense of serenity and like clarity. And then this with Lily just breaking down at the library, not at the hospital, because of our heart attack. Rin's route, I don't know. I think the one, well, like the couple CGIs that I remember from her route, like clearly. One being this scene where they are just walking around in the rain and just kind of talking casually about stuff. That was really that was a really cute scene in its own way. And I mentioned this before, but look how much like the fact on how their faces change affects the photo. Of course, the atelier scene with the other atelier scene, the two of them smoking. That was really it was kind of, I don't know, not disturbing, but it was kind of, it gave off that really lazing feeling with both of them just like lazing about, just milling about, being there, not having to do anything. And you can see the, like, from his son's face, you can see the frustration on with him trying to get on Rin's level, but it's impossible. And that's just, that developed into something, man. Of course, the most impactful moment of Rin's route, her breakdown. Or not breakdown, but the fact that she was doing things to herself in the atelier, breaking or killing herself, I think was the term she used, which was also really touching, because you hadn't thought that Rin would be serious about this, but then when she was, and you walk in on her doing something like this, it was hard to read as well, alongside with Hanako's breakdown in the classroom. These were really hard scenes to like read. Of course, Rin's ending CGI with her just her standing on top of the big rock, looking at the horizon, and asking us what's the word for the feeling when everything in the world feels like it's going to be all right. That sentence is going to stick with me for quite a while from Rin's route, alongside with this CGI, because she looks so relieved in this photo, like, because you had been struggling so much trying to like figure her out, and then when you get this picture as a reward, it's just rewarding. Shizune also had some memorable CGIs. The one from what is that? Act 1, with her kind of having an argument with Lilly and establishing the two's enmity for the first time. Also, the Tanabata was really, like, the Tanabata picture. I actually remember this because it was really well done, like graphically. With Misha just being back there like, yay, Sa! and laughing. And also the scenes that followed were impressive, to say the least. Also, I think the CGIs that I remember better from Shizune's route are Misha's, like this one with Misha worrying, and like, because you had seen Misha only like being super hyper all the time, and like really happy. When the game hits this in your face, you're like, okay, something's up and bad. And then when you see when there was this scene on top of the school roof. Let's just say that this was also really touching, to say the least. With Misha saying with this face that I like Shizune the same way that you do, Hichanich. At that point you just had to accept it, that this is going on. And it brought in quite the resolution. Also, I didn't mention it, but I also loved this scene. I loved this scene with Muto giving extra lessons to Misha. Just I didn't mention Muto at all when I was talking about side characters, but Muto had that really teachery feeling to him. But it was done so well that you couldn't. It didn't like drain you like with him being so boring. I liked Muto, also the nurse, even though they were minor side characters. They really gave that that edge to their own personalities, with the nurse being really like shifting between personalities really well, and like being a health professional and like a funny guy and like chill guy at the same time, and Muto driving Hisao towards like his studies and kind of like giving advice. They were really well done. I still think that I prefer Muto over the nurse. I mean, the nurse had his own shenanigans, sure, but Muto was done so casually that you couldn't stop but just like love him. I like some of the moments where he just bobs Misha over the head to like make her quiet, and the whole class laughs, and especially the moment when Muto takes control of the situation in the classroom after Hanako's breakdown. That was impressive, because it really brought out Muto's serious side as well. I mean, some other CGIs that I remember, there aren't many that I remember. But I mean, I think those that I went quickly through these CGIs, those are the top ones that kind of pop up to mind, really. But I mean, that's all about like the graphics, really. Let's talk about the music. The music, yes, the music. Katawa Shoujo's soundtrack was absolutely brilliant, and there are some pieces that I actually like listen to my playlist, or I added to my playlist. Like if I'm like doing some writing or like editing or something, I just like to listen to those pieces. Like some of the top pieces, like if I had to name top 5 pieces from this list right here, I don't even know. Like well, we can like exclude Wheels now because you've been listening to that for the entirety of this video. But I think the main theme is also really good. But if I had to name like some of the top soundtracks from this OST, I don't even know. Like one of which comes to mind is Lullaby of Open Eyes. Like, I mean, you can't even. Lullaby of Open Eyes is special to me in like through various occasions in the game. It was used in so many moments of like calmness, and which then turns into sadness kind of moments, like Emi crying when asleep about her father. They used it for Lilly in multiple occasions. They used it for Hanako in multiple occasions, like when it was calm. And like they used it for Shizune and Misha for many occasions, like in those very calm but melancholic moments. I think Lullaby of Open Eyes is definitely one of my favorites from the soundtrack. Painful History is another, which is really brilliant. Because like Painful History really gives off that it tells tales through the like high-pitched, really sad piano. Like, I love piano myself. I've even played piano. I played it for 4 years, I believe. Yeah, 4 years. 4 years. It's been over a decade since I last touched the piano, but I played it for 4 years when I was young. And like I've loved piano music ever since. Like, if you listen to a piano music, like, no matter if it's through headphones or if you're in a concert hall or if a friend is playing for you or something, if you hear a melody like this, if you hear a melody like that, it'll draw you and it'll give you melancholic feelings that instant. And I think we only heard it like 3 times during Hanako's route. One being the moment earlier on in the route when she's telling us about the fire, very briefly albeit. The second one being in the room when we're talking about like things, and she kind of goes into melancholic mode, and the third one being when she stripped in her own room and told us exactly how she lost her parents. And that shit was also really excruciating to read. Excuse me. That was also, it was sad to read like through Hanako's backstory, because like, I was already attached to the route so heavily that reading through it was like hard. It was fucking hard to read through the route. And especially when this music came on, it gave so much more meaning to like everything going on. Of course, third one. Can we just listen to the entire soundtrack right here? Listen to this. Red Velvet. We only heard it in 2 places during the entire route. One was the date with Lilly, which I loved pretty much for like the way it was written and the fact that Red Velvet was playing. And the second one was in the Shanghai. Now, Red Velvet, I mean, jazz music is just, it's awesome. And jazz music is indeed amazing. And Red Velvet, the soundtrack was just, it was awesome. And like, just Red Velvet alone made me expect it throughout the entirety of the game. And every time I heard it, I was just like, oh yes. Oh, we also heard it in the jazz bar in Hanako's route. That's right. And Red Velvet, I mean, I've listened to this soundtrack on loop for hours and hours because it just gives me the right kind of mood to like just chill and listen to like good music. Red Velvet is probably my favorite like OST of the entire list of soundtracks in Katawa Shoujo. Third one, I don't actually know, like there are a lot of good like soundtracks, and they were used in appropriate moments, if that makes sense. I mean, there's Breathlessly, there's Comfort, there's Innocence. I think Innocence is also one of my top favorites, like from the soundtrack, just because of the piano. Another brilliant one was Moment of Decision. Moment of Decision also gave that gravity to your choices. It gave that heaviness to the choices that you were forced to choose. Like, I remember some of the choices because of this music. I remember the one, especially on Hanako's route, when Lilly expresses her concern towards us and is telling us to leave Hanako alone because she's isolated herself in her room again. And I remember spending at least 10 minutes on this choice, trying to like figure out and weigh the options on what I should do. But there are a lot of brilliant soundtracks here. Also the Sarabande from BWV 1010, which is this music box music. And what makes it all the more special is the fact that it's a music box song, and they used this simple melody to create the mood for the final scene in Lilly's arc, for the one where we are in the hospital. What can I say? It was... Jesus Christ. The game is 97% complete. I still need to get like a few scenes unlocked. I might try getting those. If not, you won't be seeing like, because if you get unlock all the scenes, I think you actually get like you get like an extra CGI. 97. It's sad, but it's also very happy for me to know that Katawa Shoujo is done. So many good moments, so many. It was a roller coaster of emotions, and the game didn't let me down. It exceeded my expectations doubly. And wow. If I didn't answer something in this video that you kinda would want my opinion about the game on, make sure to ask it down in the comments. I'll make sure to respond. And we'll be moving on to a new game, I guess. Wow. Like, I have no words for this game. You need to like experience it yourself, but I hope that through my videos you manage to experience some moments of the game at least. Thank you for watching this episode, this final collective episode of Katawa Shoujo. And I'll see you in my next video, which will be the start of a new Let's Play. What a game, dude. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.